everybody. I'm very happy to be with you today, and I'm even happier to be part of the electronic window of the Western Educational Zone, and I'm going to be presenting some lessons for students of grade 11, those who are studying UAE English skills. I hope they are of help to you, and today we are going to start with Theme 1, Education. Hello everybody. I'm very happy to be with you today, and I'm even happier to be part of the electronic window of the Western Educational Zone, and I'm going to be presenting some lessons for students of grade 11, those who are studying UAE English skills. I hope they are of help to you, and today we are going to start with Theme 1, Education. Okay, we are going to start with a general summary of the first theme, education. We are going to start with the subject matter, and the word subject matter here means we are going to give you all the content and the important information in this theme. The first section was listening, and in this section the most important thing was about how can we remember new information? How can we remember new information? In this theme, we agreed that we must move new information from short-term memory into long-term memory. And short-term memory, of course, as the name implies, means that it's a memory that you can keep information for a short time only. For example, if you have a telephone number and you can keep it only for a time that makes you dial the number, and then you can forget it. If you move it into the long-term memory, it means you can remember it for a very long time. And we agreed on 5 main ways to achieve this goal, and you will have these 5 main ways in your book, student's book, on page 11, activity A. Can anybody remember those? Try to think what were the 5 main ways to achieve this goal, which is remembering information or transferring information from the short-term memory into the long-term memory. Yes, you're right. The first one is frequency. And what is the meaning of frequency? Frequency means how often you do things. How often you do things. And activity, which means doing something with language or information. Doing anything with information. Variety means you have to vary your activities. You have to do lots of different things with the information in order to remember them. In order to remember it. Association means linking. You have to link the new information to old information in order to be able to remember it. And finally, mnemonics. Mnemonics. Take care because the M in the beginning is a silent letter, so you have to say mnemonics. And mnemonics means you have to find something strange about the word in order to be able to remember it. Actually, we applied these 5 ways to remember new vocabulary, which was in your book, student's book, page 12, in activity C. Remember when we saw this picture? What did this called? If you can remember? Yeah, actually, this was supposed to be a new word to you, and it's called aubergine. Aubergine. Of course, from the picture you can guess the meaning. But it's not only about the meaning, it's also about how to remember this word, how to remember the word aubergine, the meaning, the spelling, everything. Let's try to apply some things to it to do that. The first way, as we said, is frequency. And how are we going to apply frequency in order to remember this word? we have to listen to the word several times, say it lots of times, and then write it down. And in order to do some kind of activity, we can simply look up the word. Look up means, of course, you can go to the dictionary and try to find the meaning of the word. And also you can put it in a sentence, in a meaningful sentence. Variety means you have to do something else with the word. It's not enough for you to look it up in a dictionary or to put it in a sentence. You have to do something else with the word. For example, you can go again to the dictionary and find different meanings of the word. And association, as we said, association means you have to link the information or link the new word here to something you know before. In this case, the word aubergine can be put in a group. What is the group that the word aubergine belongs to? Think, what group? Yeah, it's vegetables. Yeah, aubergine is a kind of vegetable. So if you have that in mind, I think you will not forget that word. And mnemonics. You have to find something strange about the word, and this depends on you. It might be different from you to somebody else, might be different. So, for example, you can find something strange about the spelling. AU, for example, the pronunciation of AU together, it might be a little bit strange. So this will make you remember it better. Okay, and that was everything for listening, and now we move on to speaking. And in this section, we learned about learning and different kinds of learners, because learners have different types, of course. And please try to remember, what are the different kinds of learners? What are the different kinds of learners? Okay, there are 4 types of learners. The first type is visual. As you can see in the picture, visual means somebody who is interested in watching things, somebody who likes pictures, somebody who likes graphs. So it's all about the eyes. Okay. Another type is oral learners. Yes, and oral learners, as you can see, are interested in listening to things. They learn better when they listen to things. And kinesthetic learners. Kinesthetic learners. Kinesthetic learners are interested in doing things and using their own hands. But it's not only about the hands, by the way, because kinesthetic learners are also interested in examples. When I teach grammar to some of my students, many of them say, please, we need examples. We are interested in examples. Do not give us rules. We are interested in the examples. So those are kinesthetic learners. And a 4th type is read-write learners. And of course, from the name and from the picture, it shows that those are interested in reading and writing. Those are interested in reading and writing, and they learn better that way. Okay? But what happens is, the first type of learners is visual learners. I would like you to guess the meaning of the word visual from this picture. If you find this picture and you have the word visual, what does it mean? Yeah, think. Yeah? Right, excellent. It means somebody who is interested in watching things, seeing things, somebody who is more likely to enjoy or to learn better when he sees things. Okay? For example, if I have lots of students, some of them would be very delighted to see me as a teacher. They don't care if they listen to me, but they would like to see me. Some of my students, by the way, sit in the back and they do not like it because they would like to see their teacher. Okay? So those are called visual learners. Another type of learner is oral learners. From the picture, what is the meaning of the word oral? I think it's very easy now. If you can look at the picture, yeah. Oral means of the ears. Somebody who is interested in listening to things. Somebody who learns better if he listens to things. So that's why some of our students complain sometimes that the teacher has a low voice. If the teacher has a low voice, some students would say, no, I didn't get the lesson because I have to hear well. I have to listen to my teacher to understand. So those are oral learners. The third type is kinesthetic learners. Kinesthetic learners. From the picture, try to guess the meaning of the word. Yeah, we have two hands here. So it's not only about the hands. No, those learners are interested in doing things, in trying out things. For example, if you'd like to cook something and you have the recipe, some students or some people would say, I would like to do it myself, otherwise I will not remember it. And the fourth one, which is easiest, I think, to understand, is read-write learners. Read-write learners. What does it mean? What do these people like? Of course, from the picture and from the name, you can guess that these learners are interested in reading and writing information in order to remember it. So read, write learners, those who are interested in dictionaries, in books, in writing, lots of stuff like this. But what happens is sometimes you think you are a visual learner, you like watching things, and at the same time, you think you also like listening to things. And you like doing things with your hands, you like examples, you like trying out things, which means you are a kinesthetic learner. And sometimes you are a read, write, and a visual. What happens if you have more of these types together? What happens is that you get a fourth type, which is, yeah, what do you call a person who has elements from all these four types? What do you call him? Yes, you call him, of course, a multimode learner. Excellent. That's correct. Multimode learner. Multimode learner. It means this person might be visual, oral, kinesthetic, and read, write at the same time. Okay? And that was everything about the types of learners. But there was something also about speaking. The most important things we learned in this section was about what do you say when you would like to ask about the meaning of a word? What would you say if you'd like to ask about the meaning of the word? Come on, very easy. You do it every day with your teachers. What do you say? Yes, I can hear it, of course. You can say what's and add the word. For example, if you don't know the meaning of the word book, you would say, what's a book? What's a book? Something else? You have anything you can say? Of course. You can simply say, what does it mean? What does it mean? So you would say, what's a book? Or what does it mean? Or you can even say, what's the meaning of this word? What's the meaning of this word? Okay? One more thing that we learned in the section of speaking here was, what do you say when you ask about the pronunciation of a word? The pronunciation of a word. What do you say? Think. The pronunciation of a word. What do you say? Yes, you say, how do you say this word? And then you add the spelling. For example, suppose you don't know how to pronounce the word book. You would say, how do you say this word B-O-O-K? Naturally, because you cannot pronounce it, so you cannot say book. You would say the spelling of the word. How do you say this word? B-O-O-K. So somebody will answer saying book. Okay? So this was all about speaking in theme 1. Then we move on to reading. Okay? We learned that there are so many things we have to do before reading a text. And during reading a text, which means while you are reading a text, and after reading a text. Okay? Today I was giving a reading lesson, and one of my students just started to read word by word from the very beginning. I stopped her and told her, please do not do that. You are wasting your time. Do not read word by word. There are so many things you have to do before reading a text. Can you think, what are the things you should do before reading a text? What should you do before starting to read a text? Yes? And you will have those on page 20 in your student's book, activities A and B. Okay, the first thing is you have to look at the title or heading. This will tell you so many things about the ideas of the text. Look at the title, look at the heading, and the subheadings. Okay? From the title you will understand lots of things. You will at least understand the main idea of the text. And next, you have to look at any illustrations, any pictures, any graphs, anything that will show you something about the content of the text. And you try to predict the content of the text. And finally, again, before reading a text, you have to underline the topic sentences, those sentences that have the main ideas in each paragraph. Usually they are in the first sentence. In order to understand this better, we'll have to give you one of the texts in your book. Look at this picture, please. This is one of the text in your book. It's, as you can see here, on page 22. It's on page 22. And here you can look at the title. Where is the title? Where is the title? That's it. This is the title. Who can read the title? Yeah, look. How can you remember things for a test? How can you remember things for a test? This is the title. The title tells you a lot about the content of the text. And what else should I do? The next step is, yes, look at illustrations. Here we have one illustration, which is that one. You have a graph showing you information from the text. Actually, it summarizes everything Okay, so this is illustration 1. But do we have any other illustrations? Of course, yes, we do have another illustration, which is this one, the picture. What can you see in this picture? You can see somebody who is reading, somebody who is studying, yeah? She seems like a student. So this is another illustration. Of course, this picture would tell you that this text is about learning, remembering, or maybe about tests, okay? So what's next is you're going to have to look at the topic sentences. Topic sentences, of course, are those sentences that tell you the main idea of each paragraph. And as you can see, they are highlighted here in this text. This is the first one, okay? The second topic sentence is this one here. The third one is this one, again highlighted. And the last one in the fourth paragraph. And as you can see, they are all in the beginning of the paragraphs, right? Okay. I would strongly advise you to highlight or underline those topic sentences, because if you do so, you would not have to read the whole text in the beginning. Just start with those, okay? But here we have another question, which is, how can these skimming techniques help in exam? Actually, skimming techniques mean those techniques that help you to understand the main ideas of the text, the most important things about the text. Of course, you do this when you look at the title, at the illustrations and everything. So those will help you, those strategies will help you to skim the text or to get the main ideas of the text. But why are they important in the exam? Are they important? Are they important? What do you think? Yes, of course, they are, because in the exam you'll have two types of questions. Actually, you have lots of types of questions, but what we are talking about is we have two types of questions related to these techniques, which are questions on text level, for example, questions about subject matter, I mean about the content of the text, questions about the main idea, about the general comprehension questions, for example, something to check your overall understanding of the text. And you'll have questions on paragraph level. The most famous type of these questions is when they ask you to find the general idea of one paragraph. For example, the main idea in paragraph 1 is A, B, C, or D. The main idea in paragraph 2 is like this, okay? Okay. We will try to apply our knowledge now. We will try to do what we have learned with the text on your student's book, page 22. So please, if you have your books now, please get them and open them at page 22. Open your books at page 22, please. Okay. Okay. Try to look at the text and find what is the main idea of the text. I'll give you some time, and I bet you can do this. You can find the main idea of the text if you just look at this graph. And I will leave you for 1 minute with it, so please try to find the main idea of the text. Okay, I hope you have come up with something. Okay, here again, please look at the title. I remind you, our aim now is to find the main idea of the whole text. You can find this if you look at the title. How can you remember things for a test? This is a question, and you will have the answer in the text. And of course, if you have a close look at this graph, you will have the answer of this. How many lines do we have here? How many lines? Yes, you're right. We have 2 lines here. And what colors are they? Yeah, yes, correct. They are blue and green. And to understand the meaning of these colors and the meaning of these lines, we have to go here to this box. The green line, what does it represent? Yes, look here. It represents regular breaks. Regular breaks. And what does the blue one represent? Here. No breaks. So, what do we understand from this graph? We understand that we have a comparison. We compare between regular breaks and no breaks when we are revising for a test. What happens if we have regular breaks? What happens if we have no breaks at all? If we don't rest, if we just keep running and working and revising, what happens? Okay? If you'd like to know what happens, you just follow the line here, okay, this way, and find the percentage of revision remembered. The percentage of revision remembered. It means how much of the information can you remember if you have no breaks, okay? Okay, look at this. How much is remembered? Okay. And look at the green line and find how much can you remember if you have regular breaks, if you have breaks from time to time. As you can see, of course, the information you can remember when you have regular breaks, of course, it's much, much more than when you have no breaks at all. So what do we understand from here? Okay, the main idea. Yeah, think. Let's go back to the question. What is the main idea? Yes, the main idea. Okay. Of course, yes, it's to improve your memory, you have to take regular breaks during revision. You have to rest from time to time. That's the main idea. And you knew that only from the title and from the illustration. Okay? And then what happens during reading a text? Many of you have a very big problem while they are reading a text. Do you know what that is? Yes. What is the most annoying experience? What is the most difficult thing that happens to you while you are reading a text? Of course, it is dealing with new words. Some of you have a very big problem when they have a new word. They don't know what to do. But what we learned in this section is that we have to follow this strategy. Yeah. If you have a new word, you have to ask yourself this question. Can I understand the text without the words? Try to find a way to understand everything without this specific word if you don't know the meaning. So, if the answer is yes, so what happens? Just don't bother, just go on, read on. It's not important, so just read on. But what if no? I cannot understand this word. I cannot understand this text without this word. If the answer is no, what do you have to do? What do you think? What can you do? If you try to understand the text without this word and you just fail, what can you do? Yes, you have to ask yourself another question, which is, can I understand from the context? And what is the meaning of context? Context means the words that surround these words. the sentences around this word. You have to try to guess the meaning from the surrounding words, okay? But again, sometimes you fail, you cannot do it. So what can you do? Let's move to the next. Yeah. If the answer is yes, of course, you can just read on. If the answer is no, so that would be it. I think you have to mark the word noun, verb, adverb, or adjective. You have to decide on the part of speech of the word. You have to know, is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adverb? Or is it an adjective? Just know that, and then, of course, finally, you have to look up the words in a dictionary. But notice this is the final step. And then, of course, you can read on. My advice to you, okay, but before the advice, let me apply this to these lines from the text in your pupil's book. I have some lines taken, okay. I would like you to take some time, please, and decide on the meaning of the word steeply, okay. You have 1 minute from now to try to understand the word steeply, or just read without it. Okay? Okay. Actually, I chose this word because while teaching this text, I found many of my students did not understand the meaning of the word steeply. But let us ask ourselves the first question. Can I understand the text without the word steeply? Let us read it together. Your level of understanding probably does not change much during the revision period. However, the percentage of information that you will remember falls steeply. It depends on you. Can you understand without it? If yes, just go on, no problem. If not, what can you do next? What do you do if you do not understand? Yes, the next step is try to guess from the surrounding words. And you have some things that can make you guess. For example, the word however, of course, means that you have two contrasting sentences. So the sentence before however should be the opposite of the next one. And of course, the word falls. Falls, what does it mean, fall? To decrease. Yeah, it goes down. So you can understand or try to guess the meaning of the word steeply. Okay? I will not tell you the meaning now, because there is one more step. If you cannot guess, what can you do? Finally, the final solution. What is the final solution? Yes, finally, just decide which part of speech is that. Is that word a noun? Is it a noun? Of course not. Is it an adjective? No, I guess from the ly at the end, you can guess that this word is an adverb. So, as an adverb, you can now go to a dictionary and try to find the meaning, and you will find that steeply, of course, means intensively, strongly, okay? That's it. So, remember, please take my advice, take my word on that. Please do not overuse dictionaries. I advise you to not overuse dictionaries, because if you use dictionaries all the time, what happens is you end up actually, you hate reading because it will interrupt you. and it will make you feel that reading is something very difficult and time-consuming. Okay, so please remember that dictionaries are the final solution. When you give up, you can go to dictionaries. Okay? Good. And of course, you don't have dictionaries in your exams, so what can you do then? Okay. And then we have something after reading a text. After reading a text. Especially if it's not an exam, if you are studying, there are so many things you can do after reading a text. What can you do? When you finished reading, found the meanings of difficult words and everything, what can you do? In order to remember information, what can you do? Yes? Write a summary of the information. Write some brief sentences that give the meaning or the content of the information, of the text. Draw an illustration. Why not? Yeah, draw a picture. Draw anything that would remind you of the meaning or the content of the information. Highlight important points in the text. Highlight or underline important points in the text. And it depends. I think it differs from a person to another. You might think this is an important point, but your friend would think, no, this is not important. I find that something else is important. And make notes of the information. Always try some kind of notes in the margin beside the paragraphs or below or above. It doesn't matter. So you have to write notes because this is your own understanding of the information. Add new words to your vocabulary lists. Very important. How many of you have vocabulary notebooks? You should have vocabulary notebooks because it will help you build and improve your vocabulary. If you find a new word, please, when you finish everything, you finish reading and you're finished with the text, please go to your vocabulary lists and add the new words because you will use them later. And finally, and the most important, is think about your personal reaction to the information. What is the meaning of personal reaction? What is the meaning of personal reaction? Yes? Personal reaction means you have to think of the effect of this information you try to link the information to yourself. For example, we just studied a text on revising before a test, okay? So, you should think about yourself. What can you do if you revise for a test? What should you do? For example, I should have a timetable, I should have regular breaks, and you think of yourself. You should be convinced that this will help you, okay? This way, I think you will remember information better. Okay? And that was everything for reading. And finally, we move on to writing. In this section, we mainly dealt with two writing activities. The first one was how to learn. The second was how to revise. If I give you a topic about how to learn, what would you write about? What are the main ideas that you would like to start writing about? Give me hints, points, something we discussed in the beginning of the session. Who can remember? Yes? Yes. The first one is frequency. Of course, frequency. And what is the meaning of frequency? Frequency, of course, is how often you do something. And activity, yes. Activity means doing something with the information. Variety, which means doing different things or different activities with the information. And association, which means linking old information to new information. And finally, mnemonics. Mnemonics, yes, which means finding something strange about the information that will make you remember it. Okay? So, of course, in the exam, you are not obliged, I mean, you do not have to write about these 5 ways of learning, but of course, it would make it easier for you if you know these 5. Okay? So, in your book, we studied how to organize information in order to write a paragraph on how to learn. Actually, we had 2 kinds of drafts in your book, okay? And we chose one of them, which was better. The way we organized the information was as follows. You start by one way of learning, which is frequency, variety, whatever, one of those. And you move to an explanation of that way. You explain the meaning of that way, what is the meaning of frequency, what is the meaning of variety, whatever. And finally, you should write an example of that way. Give an example and write about it. Okay? In order to make it easier for you, we'll show you this table. Okay? You can write your information in a table. You have one way of learning, frequency, variety, mnemonics, association, okay? And then move on to explanation, which means you have to explain, give the meaning of this word here. You learn information by hearing it or reading it many times. So this is the meaning of frequency, okay? And you should give an example. An example of frequency would be to write a word 10 times and say it to yourself. Okay? So, this is how you organize information in a table like this. If you just take these and put them in a paragraph, you have a very lovely paragraph. Okay? I'll give you a sample now. Okay? And I will give you 1 minute to go through that. Okay. Of course, I'm sure you noticed that we added an introductory sentence to the paragraph, which is, there are 5 main ways of learning new information. Of course, you can make it different if you would like to write about 4 or 3 or whatever, it's up to you. But it's just like an introduction to your essay, because you're going to write some paragraphs. A paragraph for each idea or a paragraph for each way, okay? The first way, yes, we have the word first, yes, we added that also. The first way is frequency. And then you give the explanation. That's why we use this word, this means. This means hearing or reading new information lots of times. So when you explain something, what do you say? When you explain something, what do you say? You say, this means, or it means, or that is, okay? And then, finally, you give an example of that way. So what do you say when you give examples? You say, for example, or what else? What else can you say when you give examples? Yes, excellent. You could say, for instance, for instance. Lovely. Yeah. For example, you should write a new word 10 times and say it to yourself. And that is a paragraph. Okay? You can just follow these steps and you can write 5 paragraphs and you have one big essay. If you'd like to see the complete essay, please refer back to your student's book, page 28, okay, draft 2. Next, we had another topic, which is how to revise. How to revise. What do you think if you have a topic like this? What would you write about? Do you have any ideas to think about how to revise? Yes, think. How to revise. Okay, here we go. Okay. We would organize information as follows. You can write about key questions. You have to ask yourself key questions, some questions. We'll see examples of those shortly. And possibilities. And those would be like answers to those questions. And advice. It will be clearer, of course, in the table. Okay. But before going to the table, we have possibilities. What is the language used for possibilities? Yes. As we studied in our books, we would say perhaps or perhaps. This means if you have two possibilities or more, what do you say? You say perhaps or perhaps. For example, perhaps the test will revise the whole book, or perhaps the test will only revise certain parts of it. So here we have perhaps and or perhaps. Okay? And advice. What kind of language can you use when you give advice to somebody? I know you're very good students. You know lots of things you can say when you give advice. Yeah, sure, you should. If I were you, I advise you to. Lots of things, yeah. But what we focused on in our book is you should and you should. If you have more than one piece of advice, you should and you should. For example, you should check your notes from the relevant sections and you should copy missing notes from other students. You should check your notes from the relevant sections and you should copy missing notes from other students. Okay? Here because you have two pieces of advice. Okay? This is how we organize information into a table. We start with the key question. Yeah. For example, you can ask yourself, which section of the course book must you revise for the test? Course book, of course, means the course you are studying. Like, what is your course book? It's the UAE English Skills. Yeah, this is your course book, the book you are going to be examined in. So which section of the course book must you revise for the test? This is one question you have to ask yourself. Then you have to answer this question using some possibilities. The whole book or parts of the book. And according to those possibilities, you have to give some advice. For example, you have two pieces of advice here. The first one is take your notes from all the relevant sections and copy missing notes from other students. Okay? This is how it goes. And the paragraph would be something like this, and I will leave you with that for a minute. Okay, I'm sure you have noticed we have added an introductory sentence again because we are going to add more than one paragraph to this. So there are 3 questions you must ask about the test. It's not a necessity that there are 3. They could be 2, they could be 4. It's up to you. Just think of questions and find the number and write it here. There are 3 questions you must ask about the test. The first question is, which sections of the book must you revise? Perhaps the test will revise the whole book. So, perhaps this is the language of possibilities, yes. Or perhaps the test will only revise certain parts of it. And then we have the advice here. You should check your notes from the relevant sections and you should copy notes from other students. Okay? But, of course, when you write a paragraph, you have to revise your paragraph, to edit it. Okay? I would like you to notice some words that we need to change here. Yeah, there is one word we need to change because it needs to be replaced by a pronoun. Okay? Think which word is that? Take your time. Okay, did you find that? I'm sure you did. Yeah, the test. Notice how the word the test is repeated. Perhaps the test will revise the whole book, or perhaps the test, again, will only revise certain parts of it. It's not nice to repeat words like this when you write a paragraph. So what can you do about this? What is the solution? Yes, of course, you have to replace it with a pronoun. What is the meaning of pronoun? Pronoun is something like he, she, it, they, we, something like this. What is the most suitable pronoun here? The test, of course. Yeah? It. Excellent. It will only revise certain parts of it. Okay? So, again, we have a repeated word that we should work on. What do you think in the last 2 lines? You should check your notes from the relevant sections and you should copy notes from other students. Does anything sound strange here? Yes, of course. That is, you should. You find that you should is repeated here, so you have to just delete it from the sentence. Okay, so it would sound like this. You should check your notes from the relevant sections and copy notes from other students. Okay, remember, please do not repeat words. Okay, do not repeat words. Okay, that was the end of our session today. Thank you very much. This was everything about Theme 1 Education, and in the next session we will be dealing with grammar. Till then, have a very nice time. Thank you. Goodbye.